Uber CEO did an interview on Ben Thompson's Stratechery newsletter, all about aggregation and autonomy. It's about you can read the interview too if you're subscribed to his newsletter. I think Dara is sort of this really fits well to his skills that he is like all open arms for autonomous players, right? He basically, hey Waymo, we're friends. Hey Tesla, we're friends. Zoox, we've highlighted a couple times in the newsletter how many AV partnerships they've done with anyone and everyone, global delivery, rideshare. They're really, kind of publicly narrate and market their position as being open, but then also kind of following through with it. Those are always the two things that I look for. What are the companies saying? And then what are they doing, right? Because actions always speak louder than words. And I think they are hitting on all cylinders in both regards. The one big partnership that they don't have in the autonomy space is Tesla. And I think the big caveat always with Tesla is if or when they get full self-driving, right? Because we featured another story in the newsletter this week where there was a alleged crash of a Tesla Cybertruck on version 13, which is supposed to be, the big new version of full self-driving. That's great. And, if you believe this guy's story, it basically two lanes were merging and it ran into a pole. Yikes, that's super bad. If that story is indeed true. And so I think that with that caveat out of the way, Tesla has this very different approach than Waymo. They already have millions of vehicles on the road. And if you flip the full self-driving switch, right, you have a lot of robotaxis on the road. And like Uber, you've got variable supply. You don't have to pay for their downtime. You're not as concerned with the utilization, right? Because it's a bunch of private owners. It's a bunch of fleet owners, maybe, right? Uber released a slide that I also featured in this week's newsletter. I think they said they've got 50,000 fleet owners on their platform right now. That's anywhere from small to big, anywhere from a couple cars, one car, to thousands or tens of thousands of cars. A lot of those might be Teslas already. So there's a lot of people that already own vehicles that are putting them on Uber, that could put them on to a Tesla network. And then, of course, the individual owner component. I own a Tesla. Hey, if Tesla launches this robotaxi network and I can have my car drive Friday, Saturday, I haven't driven it in a few days. You can go out and do a few trips and pay for the monthly fee and then some, right? That seems like a strong proposition, especially knowing the kind of cult fandom. I think a lot of people that maybe normally wouldn't put their car into a car share or rideshare platform, they might do it because they're such a fan of Tesla, such a fan of Elon. So I think that's the big threat that Uber sees when it comes to Tesla. And so, I think I'll read a little bit of Dara's quote. He said, yeah, listen, no one wants to compete against Tesla or Elon if you can help it. Their capabilities are pretty extraordinary, but I think the same economic laws apply to them. Ultimately, if Tesla puts their cars on our network, we already have 150,000 drivers who are driving Teslas. And if they get full self-driving, they'd love to plug it into Uber as well. So I think he basically, like I said, he's saying, hey, we'd love to partner with Waymo. We'd love to partner with Tesla. And yeah, Tesla could do this on their own, but we have 100, 200 million monthly active users. We can get your cars, as I've talked about with Waymo, right? We can kind of give you those most profitable trips, the low ETA trips, right? Plug into our network and you'll really max out your utilization. You'll max out your revenue. And I think part of that is a compelling argument. I don't know if that's really in Elon's DNA to partner though. So this is kind of one of the big stories we're watching. So we'll definitely keep covering and watching Uber's relationship with Tesla and see how that story goes.